This is the proper stone for French drains, footer drains. This is the proper stone. This is number 67, crushed, washed gravel. And this is the right stone. This big round rock stuff is not what you need to do an exterior wall. So the real big thing here was we want to excavate this wall and we want to seal this wall. We're going to bring all of this over with a footer pipe, the French drain, into a sump basin. He has a sump basin, but it's not deep enough.
This customer actually lives in Maryland. His name is Cecil, and he's actually handicapped. He just paid a company an exorbitant amount of money to try to solve the crawl space problem. And it looks like at first glance that they did. But the very first rain, that crawl space flooded. And you can see they've got gravel, along the wall. They've got a sump basin. But when we look in that sump basin, we'll see right away there's problems. It's not deep enough, and I don't see any footer tiles coming into the pit.
So they've got a store-bought from Lowe's M50 or M98. It's got a nice check valve. It's got the Zoller check valve on there. It's a perforated pit. They've got it inside of a bucket, which is fine. But we're going to dig all this out and get it down quite deep. It's got to get down another 2.5, 3 feet from the bottom of that basin for it to actually actuate and work properly. This footer's down there quite deep. If you take a look, let's see. So this footer's down there about 3.5, almost 4 feet deep, quite deep. So that's why we've got the excavator out here, and we need to sink this sump basin down below that level. But the real big thing here is you can see the crack forming. This is a stress crack, and that's indicating that there's movement in this wall. Lots of water underneath of that footer, underneath of that slab. And you can see it here as well. This is common. You can see all the crack. You usually find this in the corner of most homes. So we've got some of the materials over here. We're going to use this 18-inch culvert. This is a dual wall. You can see it's smooth on the inside and it's got the ridges on the outside, actually quite heavy. We're going to use that as our sump basin because we're so deep. We've got the 6-inch, we've got some 4-inch, lots of parts. So what's been happening here is this is the crawl space, and you can see the block over here. This has been flooding, and you can see they actually put a little sump pump and a garden hose pump in here, and they have it encapsulated, and they did a nice job. It's all sealed and foam, but out here water has just been flooding up into this little entranceway. So we found some other problems here. I did a live help with Cecil, he's the owner, and we did a live help and we went over many things here.
These tree roots have grown right through the block. They went through the mortar and they go right through that block into the crawl space. That allows that water to travel along the root and get inside. Even though it's sealed, that water still gets down under the floor and creates problems.
Can you see how muddy this soil is becoming right here? Really muddy. Do you know why? I'll show you as soon as he pulls that excavator out of there, as soon as he pulls that bucket up out of there, I'll show you why that's so muddy and why this is such an important little thing. There's also appears to be an old tree right here. You can see the size of those roots, pretty big. So take a look. Can you see this air conditioning drip line? This guy's putting out so much water. That's why this is just so saturated. Look at that. So saturated. So much water from that AC drip. More than you think. That's going to drop right into our system, right into the gravel, so it won't be a problem anymore.
So we've been removing soil throughout the entire excavation. Luckily, Cecil has 5 acres of land and this huge natural area here in the back. And he said we could go ahead and pour it back here and grade it out. So that's what we're doing back here. And everyone's working to remove the soil, even with the wheelbarrows. This is a labor intense. When you're pulling a wheelbarrow or pushing a wheelbarrow, that's very labor intense. Remember, always remove your soil. Don't put it back. We are bringing our gravel to grade. That means that we're going to pour the gravel over top of that 6-inch perforated pipe all the way up the wall to the natural grade of the yard. And so it's going to have a gravel border all the way around the crawl space. Some other quick notes I wanted to share was, number one, if you've got a problem and you're out of our area, try our live help. It's only $60 per session, and I promise you that I can save you so much money with figuring out what's wrong. And if you have a plan of your own, I can tell you right away whether that will work or not. The other note is, you can see this right away. This man spent so much money to have a company come out and try to solve his problem. And again, the very first rain, he has water. This really is a great DIY project if you're able to do it. You could easily save $25,000 to $50,000.
So we've got the wall cleaned off and we're going ahead and applying our liquid rubber. This is Blackjack number 57, and what it is, it's actually a damp proofing compound, but it works so well to seal up the block and brick for that matter, and the mortar between. You can see we've got it all the way coming around. We'll seal up this entire area, including the cellar door. We still need to clean that off. And this wall they're still working on. But the same thing, sump basin's installed. We'll cut that down to grade when we're finished, and the pump will be inside there. Footer tiles will tie into the hole. You see the hole down there? Everything's looking good. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.
Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. You know, I've posted pieces of this video before, but it is so important. If you're going to do a French drain and you're going to wrap it with fabric, please watch this video again. This is the only fabric that I've ever found that actually works. In this video, we will put together 2 different systems. One is using perforated corrugated pipe, and the other is using perforated PVC. We will also add a GoPro down in the pipe so you can see how the system actually works. Let's start with the corrugated pipe. We're going to be using 4-inch corrugated pipe. It's perforated and it's slotted. That means it has holes all the way around the pipe. So you dig that trench and you lay out your fabric. We need to add a base of stone. This is very important. This goes under the pipe. Next we'll lay the pipe, and then we'll go ahead and cover all of that with more stone, more gravel. The gravel is important also. Try to use 3/4 inch to 1.5 inch stone. The best stone is number 67, and that is crushed, washed gravel. Next, we go ahead and lay the fabric back across the gravel. Cut it, trim it, and then pin it so it stays secure. Then finally, we'll go ahead and add our sod. If you cut sod off, we're going to put the sod back on the top. And we're ready to go ahead and test this French drain.
Okay, so we've laid the sod back, and I left a piece of it exposed down here so you can see it. I also have a light inside that slotted corrugated pipe. So it's perforated, has slots all the way around it, and I put a light inside there. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we add the rainfall.
During a rainfall event, water rises in your trench and it comes through at the bottom of the pipe. That's why there's a base of gravel underneath. As the groundwater rises, it comes through the voids of the gravel, floods up into the pipe, and the pipe carries this away. This is called a French drain. This is corrugated pipe.
and it's slotted. That means that there's holes cut all the way around the pipe. If you're going to wrap your French drain with a geofabric, I strongly suggest that you try this Stay Green. It's available at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, Ace, almost any hardware store.